we get this question about whether or not guns are an issue here in Portugal. If Portugal has mass shootings, is it safe? And I think the answer is actually obvious. It's obviously not an issue here. This country has been noted so many times as being a very, very safe country that I think these questions are coming from people that are looking for confirmation, making the decision to leave the U.S. because they're scared. We can't tell you guys what to do, but we can tell you that our experience has been amazing in Portugal, that we have not had a single encounter that was dangerous, violent, nothing like what we experienced all too often in the US. And so what I wanted to do with this video is I really wanted to analyze why Portugal is so different from the US in this regard when it comes to guns. And the people that are watching this, no matter where you stand on this issue of gun control, just at least listen to the points that I'm going to make. And maybe, we can learn from one another. Leave comments below, some insight, some feedback on some of the things that I'm going to say, but at least hear me out. So, why is gun violence less prevalent here in Portugal than it is in the US? The last mass shooting that I could find, I had to go way back to 1956 to find one here in Portugal. I could not find one any more recent than that. If someone can find one more recent, then they did a better job than me. But for something like that to happen here in Portugal, it is very, very rare. And one of the reasons is because Portugal, like many European countries, has very tight gun laws. It is very hard to get a gun here in Portugal. If you are able to obtain one, it is considered a privilege. Now, this is opposite to the US, where in the US, it is your right to have a gun. Rights and privileges, that to me is a very interesting way to look at guns. Because for a country to see it as everyone's right to have a gun means that more people will pursue that right. And I think this translates into more people having guns, which in turn means more people are using guns. The next reason why I think gun violence is not as prevalent here is because of the social safety net that is in Portugal and that is throughout the rest of Europe. You see, in Portugal, a lot of the underlying issues that contribute to violence, such as mental health and poverty, there are more social services here that help support people in that degree. And when you have this type of system, it means that more people are going to get helped before they get to this point where they explode, where things boil over into a violent interaction. And so I think that plays another key role in the big difference between Portugal and the US. The next reason is the media. Now, we blame the media for a lot of things, but I truly believe that the media plays a role in the prevalence of mass shootings and violence in the US, because the media has a tendency to sensationalize these events when they take place. And the prevalence and the constant replay of these horrific events, I think, contribute to more events taking place. by copycats, by people that want to also gain this type of infamy. On the other hand, when these types of things happen in Europe, which is very rare, the news cycle on these types of subjects is treated completely different. You don't see that same type of sensationalism that takes place, that same type of political rhetoric. And this brings me to my next point. After a mass shooting in the US, there are a lot of people that will jump to the solution that we need more guns in order to protect ourselves. If people had more guns in those situations, they would have been able to stop the shooter. I forget how they say it. A good guy with a gun, or I don't know, something crazy like that. And so you have a cycle in the US that really turns out to be violence, more guns, which actually leads to more violence, more guns, because more people have those guns means more people have the ability to do violence. And that is not the case in a lot of other European countries. When a violent situation happens, the reaction or the solution is to take away the tools that those people use to do that violence, because it means that it's harder to do it again. Sounds logical to me. So that is my opinion. And as I sit here in Portugal, I really am scared for my friends and family that still live in the US. And so there are so many of you that have moved from America to Portugal looking for peace of mind, looking for a place where you don't have to worry about this thing just randomly happening. I mean, you can be at a fair, at a dance studio, driving down the street. You could be pulling into someone's driveway. You could knock on somebody's door. Anything. You could get into an argument with someone on the street and end up in a gunfight. And unfortunately, if so many people are carrying guns, it doesn't leave room for negotiation when things go bad. And what I mean by this is that if you're in a situation and there is a conflict, an argument, the stakes are much higher when you know that other people have guns. It's almost like being in the Wild West and you don't want to be the last person to draw your pistol because you could be the person that's laying on the ground. And so if you're leaving the US to come to a safer country so that you can sleep better at night, so that you can send your kids to school and feel safe that they'll come home, then that is absolutely fine. That is something that I think everyone has the right to do.